Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you on this May 30th, 2025. I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride to work and plenty to get into on this mobile episode recording live from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here for Reality Steve's Fan Appreciation Weekend and his 50th birthday. But on this episode, we will discuss Sydney Sweeney as she is now selling her bathwater. Hey, capitalism is not dead. And then more on the crypto kidnapping as we learn some of the sinister things going on in this very kooky story. Also a K-pop scandal. The managers for BTS are being charged with some pretty serious crimes. And speaking of crimes, Laura Owens pleads not guilty. I'm going to share what she had to say and what her lawyers had to say after yesterday's arraignment. And then Bachelor Clayton has to deal more with his ex, Gabby Windey, who can't get his name out of her mouth. We'll share that. And then some more on tariffs. All these stories and more happening right now on The Rush. Well, as you can see, we have to start the episode with a nice animal story. And if it's a Florida story, it involves chaos. And we have jellyfish stinging people on the beaches in Florida.
The sun is shining, waves are crashing, and the beach is busy. But a hidden hazard is making waves of its own. Jellyfish have taken over the water. Since Saturday, beach safety has recorded over 360 stings. And if you're in the water, another reason to swim in front of a staff lifeguard tower is not only because they can save you from rip currents, but they also have what you need to treat a jellyfish sting.
So there you go. If you get a jellyfish sting, the lifeguards in Florida will pee on you, I guess. I don't know. And speaking of peeing on people, Sydney Sweeney, I'm assuming there's some pee in the bathwater, right? Come on, it's Friday, folks. She says, I'm selling my used bathwater. Move over, Gwyneth Paltrow. Sydney Sweeney's got a new way to bottle up her essence, turning bathwater into a beauty empire with a soap bar that's practically her and every bit of lather. All right, I mean, look, she knows her market, right? It's like some people do OnlyFans, and she's just going to bottle it all. Does she just like dip her toes in a vat of water and then they bottle it into a soap bar? Either way, how much does it cost? I'm just wondering. All right, so from one weird story to another, we're barreling through the weird stories today. New York City crypto torture case. Okay, I'm all ears. Let's get into it. In the New York City, and again, this was one of those stories I was like, we're going to cover this. But the more information that comes out, the kind of kookier it gets. The Italian millionaire was lured to the city, New York, for Bitcoin, and sensational details emerge. A closer look at the alleged plot undertaken by two New York City suspects accused of kidnapping an Italian man, torturing him to obtain a passport to his Bitcoin fortune. Prosecutors revealed in court this week the victim was allegedly lured to Manhattan in an attempt to reclaim some of his currency that had already been stolen. So again, we shared the footage of him making a harrowing escape and finding a police officer literally in his bathrobe. And these are the men right here that have been arrested. So I say throw the book at them. I mean, look, this is the problem with crypto, right? Is there any regulation? Just a bunch of random people having these passports, wallets, whatever they're called, full of unidentified money. And, this is sadly the new form of robbery and theft that's going on out there. Okay. BTS. Are you guys familiar with them, or are you old like me? BTS management company called Hybe. Am I pronouncing that right? HYBE has been raided in an insider trading investigation. The company that manages BTS and other major K-pop acts has been raided as part of an insider trading investigation, according to reports coming out of South Korea. The Korea Times reported early Thursday the Seoul Southern District Prosecutor's Office searched the company's office in central Seoul. A Hybe executive's reportedly been accused of gaining profits of 240 million won, South Korean currency worth about $175,000, by using insider information to profit on the stock market. Okay, I mean, no surprises there. Sounds pretty shady. We'll have any updates as they come. So I've got several stories involving Gabby Windey, the bachelorette who was dumped by Clayton Eckert, or however the hell that ended. Now she's in a very different relationship, non-heterosexual, and she offers her thoughts about Clayton. Now, We've discussed Clayton a lot the last couple of years. Of course, he was trapped in several different accusations. One that he cheated on his then girlfriend, Susie Evans. He had to prove it wasn't true. And in this case, of course, he was in Laura Owens' fantasy world where she claimed to be pregnant with twins that never showed up, right? Well, she, of course, was arraigned yesterday, which I'll get into that story. But Gabby Windey just cannot stop talking about Clayton Echard. Have a listen to this.
You were not attracted to the first Bachelor.
Which you guys were talking on Thursday.
Which
I think Gabby Windey called.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, that's what I'm like. I meant to call him something else.
Yeah, toes. We were saying toes are not bad.
No, it's literally not bad.
I don't think that at all. I called someone a toe, and then he's like, "I'm like, who else said that?" He's like, "Okay." He's like, "Oh yeah, like it's not a bad thing."
I know, and he was like, "You're bullying me." I'm like, "Oh my god!" I called my manager, and I was like, "Is he gonna sue me for defamation?" I thought he was gonna go full Amber Heard on my. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually.
So Gabby says, I thought Clayton Echard was going to go full Amber Heard on my ass. Now, say what you want about Amber Heard, but she was involved in a lawsuit with Johnny Depp, and the accusation was of the domestic violence variety, amongst other things. And first of all, any comparisons that Gabby's trying to make to Clayton sharing his boundaries with making it, an Amber Heard accusation or an Amber Heard style lawsuit is absolutely ridiculous. Clayton has wanted nothing to do with a lawsuit that has been brought to him that he's had to defend himself with. And I just think this is so funny, right? You have someone like Gabby, clearly, I don't know if it's insecurity or what, but she cannot let it go that Clayton set boundaries and just said, stop talking trash about me. Stop calling me ugly. Stop telling people you weren't attracted to me. Just stop talking. And this podcaster agrees with Gabby where they're like, well, you're allowed to make fun of your ex. And it's like, yeah, I mean, sure, but he's allowed to set boundaries. Clearly it's triggered her.
So scared because his response to me was so dramatic.
What, did you respond after that?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? I don't know if I saw your response back to him.
No, it was fine. It kind of took a turn, but what I said, if I have a take about sticking up for other women, then I'll say it.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna go back at him. But it's like, first of all, people were like, you can talk on your ex-boyfriend.
Yes, absolutely.
And even at the end of the clip, I owned him. I was like, and that's my man.
Yeah,
this is someone in her 30s. You can talk trash about your ex. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Just, you're going to get judged by the people that are going, you're being really petty. First of all, Clayton has had severe mental health issues coming from these highly cancelable situations that have been brought to him. And look, he doesn't need me to defend him. I just think it's very funny to see somebody's character shined through, and not in a good way, speaking of Gabby, when it comes to the doubling down on trashing an ex, especially when she's clearly better off with post-show success and finances.
Wasn't, I brought it back around.
Okay, yeah, you were proud.
Yeah,
yes.
Totally. I admitted fully that on the show, you gaslight yourself into loving this person.
Yeah.
So I didn't even deny any of that. But, and then he made that crazy video and I was like, well, if you really want to go there, you exploited my sex life on TV. You talked about
that part.
Yes. Without my consent, coming from a man. It's you have so much power over us normally. And you're not going to want to go there with me.
That was crazy. I forget about that because we did talk about that a while ago on the Hot Topics when it came out. And I was like, that's actually insane to say what you did with somebody. I would have said way worse about him and still continue to. That's crazy.
That's what everyone says. And I'm I'm going to get sued.
Oh my God. Is this the one that you ended up with for your season of Bachelorette that you are engaged to? Or no?
All right. Well, you know what? It's going to be a no from me, but you guys can decide to listen if you want. I just think it's mean girl energy, doubling down on mean girl energy. All right. Well, coming up next, speaking of mean girl energy, and by the way, if you're wondering, Dave, why does your voice sound so silky smooth? Well, I've got a 1-year-old baby who's sleeping very close to me in this nice hotel room of ours. So that's why we are not going above 10 decibel levels. But coming up next, I'm going to share the entire clip of Laura Owens and the arraignment that took place yesterday in Maricopa County. Today's episode is sponsored by Zocdoc. When was the last time you needed to go to a doctor, but you pushed it off, made the excuse, I'm too busy, it'll heal on its own, I don't need help? I think we've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can just feel so daunting, but thanks to Zocdoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy to find and book a doctor who's right for you. Zocdoc is a free app and a website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical need you may have, and are highly rated by verified patients. I use ZocDoc, and you should too. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/rushhour to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/rushhour. ZocDoc.com/rushhour. Well, Laura Owens has pled not guilty to charges of fraudulent schemes, perjury, and forgery, and the alleged paternity scheme involving former Bachelor Clayton Echard. The pretrial hearing is on July 11th, and the trial is set for October 23rd. It looks like we need to clear our calendars for the end of October. Judge has granted release on her own recognizance. So I'm going to share this entire clip that has been uploaded here by Justin Lum. Laura Owens was appearing on Zoom, and she didn't have her video turned on. We're also going to have a little bit of a conversation about her new attorney. Lots to get into indeed. So let's just play the entire clip. It is very odd.
This is number 1 on the court's calendar, State of Arizona versus Owens, CR 2025-006-831-001. Ms. Owens, would you please state your full name and date of birth?
Laura Michelle Owens, 5/14/1990.
Thank you. Counsel, would you please announce?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Matthew Smiley for Joshua Coleswood for the defendant who is present via Teams.
Thank you. Counsel, do you waive a reading this morning?
I do.
Court will enter.
Nicole Northup on behalf of Ed Leiter for the state.
Oh, thank you. This morning, the court will enter pleas of not guilty on behalf of the defendant as to all counts 1 through 7, noting that this is the initial appearance on each of those counts. Court dates will be set as follows. Initial pretrial conference, July 11th at 8:15 with Commissioner Garfinkel. Comprehensive pretrial conference, August 11th at 9 a.m. with Judge Reeder. Final trial management conference, October 16th at 9 a.m. with Judge Reeder. Trial assignment is October 23rd at 9 a.m. before the master calendar assignment judge. Current last day is November 25th. Court needs to set release conditions on these matters, on these counts. I'll hear from the state first.
Judge, she's OR right now, is that correct?
There have been no release conditions set, so she's responding to a summons.
Okay. The state would ask that she be released to pretrial services.
Thank you. Counsel?
Judge, she's responded to the summons. I don't believe she has any prior criminal history. We'd ask for OR release.
The defendant will be released on her own recognizance, ma'am. What that is your promise to attend all future court hearings. You don't need to post a bond at this time. However, if you fail to appear for any of your future court hearings, absent good cause, court could issue a bench warrant for your arrest and require that you post a bond if you are taken into custody before you can be released. Court will also order that you not initiate any contact with any alleged complainant or witness. You're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription. Do not drive a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. You're not to leave the state, at least not without permission. You need to continue to provide the court with proof of a local address, continue residing at that address. Looks like you've already taken care of your fingerprints. Counselor, is there anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
From the defense?
No, thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Ms. Owens, you're free to disconnect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So there it is. Laura Owens says thank you. And a lot of people are confused as to how she was allowed to appear in court without sharing her video. I don't really care about that. I just think it's interesting. There were, I'm being told, about 4 people that were there from the Justice for Clayton community. Now, most people understood that, we're not going out of our way to head into the courtroom, knew she wouldn't be there. But who her lawyer is becoming quite a question. First of all, who would take her on as a client? She wasn't able to pay David Gingras. From all accounts, he was working for free. She doesn't have any money, even though she claims to Clayton she had $400,000 liquid cash ready to buy properties. And now she can't leave the state. She regularly attends these horse riding sort of, pony show events in California, but she can't go now. And I wanted to share with you guys just some from the social media of Justice for Clayton official, and they shared who the new attorney is. Oh, you know what? First, why don't we play this? There's actually a clip here from Fox 10 News Arizona covering the case. Let's have a listen.
The Valley woman accused of faking a pregnancy in an effort here to defraud a former The Bachelor, the show star, will be in court this morning.
Yeah, her name is Laura Owens, and she will face a judge right around 9 o'clock this morning to enter her plea. So prosecutors say she went to, quote, extreme lengths to manipulate a man named Clayton Etcher, a Scottsdale real estate agent who appeared in at least 2 seasons of the Bachelor franchise. A Maricopa County grand jury indicted Laura Owens, that is, on several felony charges, including fraud, forgery, and perjury. Now, this follows a 2023 paternity lawsuit where she falsely claimed to be pregnant with twins by the man and was seeking child support from him. She would later claim to have had a miscarriage, and the judge dismissed the case. However, he did find out that Owens knowingly presented a false claim. Investigators allege Owens altered ultrasound images, fabricated a pregnancy video, and lied under oath.
Like, we know all this stuff is true, and yet here's what really annoys me, that the news, first of all, they butcher the story. They can't even get his name right. He didn't just appear. He was the star of the show, right? The show was centered around him, that season at least. And yet they still, like, what would they do without all of the internet who dug up all this information? They literally would have nothing to report. Well, Bianca Buono, reporter in Maricopa County, has reported that Josh Colesrud will be the attorney on the case. Now, who is this guy, you ask? Well, the internet's doing their digging up of him, and apparently his law firm, first of all, he was a former federal prosecutor, and people are wondering, geez, how could she afford this? He must be a pretty high paycheck. Well, he's got a new TikTok account, which folks are wondering, is this a publicity stunt for them? Apparently, they put together a sort of social media. I don't know if they just put the TikTok together or if they're dusting it off to bring it back, but maybe they see Laura Owens as an attempt for them to drum up new business. Colesrud created social media profiles and uploaded a bunch of content this week, says Justice for Clayton official. Who's going to tell him that this case won't get him the publicity he thinks it will? Now, he might get publicity, but I don't know how he's going to defend his client, but I think this really indicates that they have no plans to settle. I don't understand how she would be hiring a guy like this if she was just going to, try to settle and enter a plea. So either way, welcome to the shit show. We appreciate seeing that there's new characters in the mix. We were getting very, very tired with sort of the baby David Gingras runaround, as they are now trying to go to the Arizona Supreme Court to state their case. Well, the county prosecutors have another thing to say about this. So as a former federal prosecutor, I'm sure this guy is going to offer her advice to take a plea deal. I wonder if she will do that. And as far as everyone criticizing her for not showing up in person, I understand, although they did say that she has done her fingerprints, which folks are saying probably means she did her mugshot. We will go live and for sure analyze every pixel of this mugshot because I think it's so insane. If they make a documentary, which, by the way, I announced in my interview with Megan Fox, that sources are telling me that Laura Owens has signed on with a production team for a documentary. If they make a documentary, I don't see how her mugshot isn't the poster for the show. Now, maybe not. Maybe they don't want to give it away, for those that don't know the story, but absolute wild stuff. Okay, let's do this. Our final morning story of the day. Let's cover Trump for a change. Why not? So if you aren't familiar, right, he does these blanket tariffs. Everyone's a 10% tariff. Then everyone's a 30% tariff. The courts say you can't even do that, right? The courts shut it down. And now they're complaining that the 145% tariffs, which were lowered to 130% and now lowered to 30%, these tariffs that Trump has enacted against Chinese products, or I should say companies in the United States that buy from Chinese companies, which again is a tax on it's a tax on us, the consumer. But now we're hearing from Caroline Leavitt that China's not even returning their phone calls. Have a listen to this.
The ball is in China's court. China needs to make a deal with us. We don't have to make a deal with them.
US President Donald Trump has been trying to get China to the negotiating table for weeks to talk trade. But while Beijing says it's open to finding a way past the tariff standoff, it'll only engage in dialogue under the right terms. Beijing insists mutual respect is a precondition for any negotiations on trade. China wants Trump to rein in members of his cabinet and have the administration offer a more consistent stance, according to a person familiar with government thinking. One comment Beijing has publicly criticized is Vice President J.D. Vance's remarks about America borrowing money from those he called Chinese peasants. Chinese officials are also put off by US trade policies it believes are intended to suppress China's modernization, especially when it comes to technology. For example, the recent barring of NVIDIA's H20 chip sales to China could be seen by Beijing as yet another attempt at curbing the country's semiconductor and AI ambitions.
All right, so I'm just going to cut it here. Here's what's so interesting to me, right? That Caroline Leavitt, she, prances out there to talk to everyone saying, we're not going to, they need us more than we need them. Oh, really? Then how come they haven't returned your call? And I think one of the things that Trump has a hard time realizing is he doesn't realize that there is more than just the bottom dollar. Sure, the United States buys a lot of junk from China, but they've got pride. They want respect. They value things that don't always align perfectly with capitalism, and they value things that that money can't buy. And J.D. Vance continues to step in it as he's one of the main reasons why they're not even coming to the table. It's like if you try to get back with a girlfriend after you break up and you're not apologizing, and she's like, I'm not even going to pick up the phone if you're not going to grovel and apologize. So the United States, as much as it sucks for us, folks that are out here, it's kind of hilarious to see. So this breaking news came out that Trump administration has asked the U.S. trade courts to pause their tariff rulings. They've ruled that it's completely illegal what Trump is doing, that he does not have the authority to even do any of these blanket tariffs. And they're saying, but can we still do that anyway? Have a listen.
Breaking news. Just moments ago, guys, the Trump administration asked the Court of International Trade to pause its decision blocking the president's tariffs while the White House seeks an appeal. NBC News chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander brings us the details.
Overnight, a federal court slamming the brakes on President Trump's sweeping tariffs.
It's our declaration of economic independence.
The U.S. Court of International Trade ruling that the president does not have the authority to impose those steep tariffs on allies or adversaries. The court, in two separate cases, tossing out the tariffs the president imposed under a nearly 50-year-old emergency economic law that had never been invoked in a situation like this. The suits were filed by small businesses and a dozen states, arguing that President Trump violated the Constitution, which grants Congress, not the president, the authority to set tariffs.
So we're about, 3 months into the presidency, more or less, maybe more, and it takes a little bit of time for things to run their way through the court system. But so many instances, the courts, and a lot of them were Republican judges or judges that were nominated under Trump. So you would think that maybe they might have a bias to help Trump. They're rejecting this. They're saying, no, that's not what the executive branch has the authorities to do. And we have a thing called checks and balances. And those checks and balances are that we've got the Congress and we've got the executive branch and the judicial branch. And the judicial branch is there to be a whistleblower to say, no, this isn't legal. You can't be doing this. And Trump can then say, well, but what if we pause this? Or what if we, fire, these judges or impeach them? I mean, it's going back and forth. And he's absolutely tearing apart the fabric of democracy. But he's also showing that anyone who wants to back him up, they are going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard for anyone who's backing up what Trump is doing, with the judicial system kind of striking him down. It'd be very hard for any of them to get re-election. And they understand that. That's why they're trying to get so much done right now, because they know come the midterms, there's going to be a wave that is not favorable to what they're trying to accomplish. And look, love it or hate it, this is why democracy has worked as an experiment in our country, because you can't just run away with fascism or authoritarian rulings. No, there are checks and there are balances. And as we balance them, it's is leading to the administration saying, but do we have to follow this? And what happens next will be anybody's game, because people have said, well, the only ones that can enforce a judicial ruling against Trump would have to be, the forces that the executive branch controls. So like, who's actually going to stop him? And I think at this point, he says he wants to like abide by the court system, and he's running it up the ladder, appealing, trying to go to the Supreme Court. They keep shutting him down. And by the way, we have to remember, Trump says things like, we're making $2 billion a month in profits from these tariffs. Just remember, that money comes from us. That money comes from the raising prices or the American companies that had to pay the tariffs in the first place. So we are paying these tariffs. So we're not raising money from the Chinese. No, we're raising it from our own people, which is a tax, which again isn't exactly helping mom and pop shops, businesses get off the ground, and the ripple down effect of businesses are going to have to lay off employees that they can't afford, or they're going to have to shutter. It's going to lead to a lot of disruption, and not the good kind. So China, will you answer the phone, please? We'd like to talk. We promise to respect you. They're gonna make JD Vance get on his knees, and not for the reasons that got him the job in the first place. All right, folks, that's it for me this morning. We'll be back this afternoon, so stay tuned for that. We'll see you then. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.